non-trustworthy person. You find out for yourself, and then you make a judgment, but not before. And somehow, you know, of all the things your father tells you, you know that you never, if there's one guy who doesn't know what he's talking about, it's your father. I mean, but if some guy that just got off a bus from somewhere and he tells you something, you think, yeah, that'd sound pretty good. I think I'll do that. You have no idea who he is, but he tells you something, and you think that's a good idea. But when your father tells you, shh, can't do that. But every once in a while, something must have seeped through. And I'm glad that it did. But I heard that phrase, every kid in America, his father's got to be, that kid's father doesn't know anything. I remember playing in a golf tournament, and it was an adult junior. So I got this man who wasn't my father, because my father wasn't a very good player. So I got this other guy as my partner. And one of my buddies that I grew up with, he got his father, who was a good player. And we got down, there's only 2 groups left. And we went out and played them. And we get to the last hole, and Mr. Brody said to his son, do this. He didn't do it. He made an explosion, he lost, and we won because he did some dumb thing his father asked him to do, and he didn't do it. And at that point, his father was red-faced. He said, ask any kid in the world, the dumbest person in the world, as he'll tell you, his father, every time. And if he was still alive, he'd still be me. And so, despite all of that, some of this has gotten through, and I have benefited so much from being open to situations. I have friends of mine that, despite whatever they've been through, I will spend time with them until I decide that they are offending me. And it was a couple of years ago, not too long ago, we were in a bar in Wilmington, 5 of us, and 3 of the guys at the table were convicted felons. And this other guy was a rather laid-back friend of mine. And we went out, and he said, only in America. Here's the sheriff sitting there. 3 guys are convicted felons. But I'll tell you what, I've known them all my life, and I trusted them. I said I would trust them more than I would trust the typical board member of a corporation or elected officials. Because I think that typically an elected official is doing something for his own aggrandizement, and if you're in his way, you can't trust them to honor who you are to get what they want. Now I know that's cynical, but sometimes self-preservation has to have some cynicism. So I had that feeling where when I sat there in the bar with these 3 buddies of mine, and one of them just died, his funeral's tomorrow morning, but I would trust him more than I would of someone who just has a reputation there on the CEO of some company or the head of the bank, because I know the guy. I know that he got into a bar fight and killed a guy. I know that he went to jail, and I know that he came out, and I know that I would have dinner with him tonight if he asked me, because I trust him. So, you might think someone in an elected position might say, I don't want to be seen with him, because what will people think? Well, I've grown to the point where I really don't care. I really don't care. I've gotten elected because of who I am, and despite who I am. But to throw away a friendship because a guy did something that maybe I could have done under those same circumstances, who knows? I mean, you could reach a point of rage over something, and you could end up killing somebody. You go to jail, and you think, God, what is he? Does he go to hell now? Is he worthless because he did that? He made a mistake. It was wrong. But I value the friendship, and the other 2 guys too. But my buddy said, can't imagine it. Sitting right there, the sheriff sitting right there. And to make things worse, the guy that just died, he He's a bookmaker. I don't know if you're familiar with what that is. It's a gambler who takes money and you can bet with them. You can bet on football games or a daily number, or you can bet on anything, and it's an illegal thing to do. But they've been around for years. They're colorful people, and my world's more colorful because actually a few of them helped me when I first ran for sheriff. He took me along Union Street into the different joints and said, "Hey, Mike's running for sheriff. We need some help." A little hit, go to the next place. "Hey, Mike needs a little help. We're running for sheriff." "Hey, here." And so I got enough money to get some signs printed. But they're people. They were people. But if you went out and said, "Geez, he's tied up with these evil people." Well, I'm not tied up. They're my friends. They're not evil. And it's just because of a Rumi kind of thinking where you are open. And as I read about, how do you say his name? Gruden? I just read through something about him that he said that no one is an outsider. I kind of thought that was a kernel of his thinking. I read a little bit about it, but no one's an outsider. And that's pretty good. I liked that. I don't remember all of the things. I couldn't pass a test on what I read about him. But that kind of stuck out because I feel that way to the people that I know, that I've met, that ordinarily, if I had this thick, frozen, bigoted head that I had when I was a little kid, not talking to them, I don't know where I'd be. But it's enriched my life. And so I think we need to learn and embrace the experiences of people whose, not their culture, but their way of living is different